Valentine's Day.
It's 9 p.m. We're live. Welcome
to the Sanctuary.
Dave, seeing as it's Valentine's Day, I think
Go
we
on.
should start off having a little kind of romantic thing to one another. What do you think?
Kath,
Ready?
how can I refuse?
Come on, okay,
Right,
here we go.
okay, you take
Okay,
it.
ready?
Take the lead, yeah?
Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Well, apart from when you don't have a shave and you look like Gandalf.
Right.
Just saying.
Okay, I'll say you shall not pass that comment on Valentine's Day.
Sorry, okay.
But I can't help falling in love with you. Apart from when you make me do things like this live that goes out on social media.
Sorry.
You know, I'm alright about it.
Should we make up by just singing that line one more time to each other romantically?
I'll think about
Okay,
it.
come on.
I can't help falling in love with Wayne. Sorry, you. Sorry, I got confused at the end there. Sorry about that.
Well, good evening. It's great to be with you. I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable by Dai's sort of expression of love towards me, but it is Valentine's Day. And as you can see, it's a very different program this evening as we do our Song Week. Last week, you may remember we had Chris Jones on, who gave us an incredible testimony of how God has been good to him. And it was an incredible week on social media, and we were so pleased to see how many people watched that program. And what I would say to you this week is please do the same. Share, like, get the news out that we're doing something different on Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. And this week we have Mr. and Mrs. Who, Cath and Dai Woolridge. I know it's going to be a great program, and I'm trusting that God will speak to you through all of the good things that they want to share with us. So over to you, Cath and Dai.
Well, happy Valentine's Day, Mr. Woolridge.
Happy Valentine's Day, Wayne, and you.
Well,
my wife of 12 and a half years.
12 and a half years. I think this is
Wow.
our 14th Valentine's Day together.
Wow.
So I was thinking
Go on.
we should know each other well enough by now.
Pretty well, yeah.
I think to begin, why don't we...
Sorry, Cath it is, isn't it?
It is Cath,
great.
yeah,
I'm Dai.
with a C.
Right, okay.
I wondered whether we should have a mini little game of Mr. and Mrs. just to check that we know each other and love one another.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
So, I'm going to start with my first question.
Go on, you shoot then.
Okay, and then I'm going to write what I think your answer will be, and then you write what your answer is, and we'll see if we get it right.
Okay, go on, you go
Okay,
first
ready?
then. You
Okay.
ask the question,
So,
right.
what is your favourite series?
Oof! It's not oof, by the way, that was just my response.
Okay.
My favourite series.
Okay, ready?
I can't think. Right. I am going to put...
Come on, doll. Get it down. Let's go. I hope I got this right now.
Well, I'd be surprised if you have, because this has surprised me, if I'm honest. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go first. I'm going
Go on.
to do my guess. Okay. Band of Brothers.
No!
Yes!
You are kidding me.
Yes!
I did not think you'd get that.
Right, come
Wow.
on.
It is love.
Come on.
It is love. Okay, right.
Right, you all go now. This is our last one.
Last one, okay.
Yeah, last one.
Right, that's,
you ask me a question.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this. If I could only eat one thing for the rest of my life, what would it be? I've realised we've both done this about me, but never mind.
Oh, yeah.
Never mind, that's fine. That's all right.
Okay, ready?
For now. Okay, go
Okay,
on.
you go first.
Okay, so Nutella.
Oh!
What'd you go for?
Galaxy counters. At least it's chocolate. At least it's chocolate, Dave.
Kath, give me Portadella, the spoon. I'm away.
You
Do
are.
you know what I mean?
That's true, that.
You know what I mean?
Well, I got the right, genre of food. I just didn't get the right food.
So what does that mean? So who wins? Do I win or do...
I
mean,
don't know.
Love,
We both
love
win.
wins. Love
I mean,
wins,
after
doesn't it?
Wales winning yesterday, do you know what I mean? I mean, is that why I'm wearing red, or is it because it's Valentine's Day? But there we are. So, Dave, I was thinking, seeing as we're known as kind of Mr. and Mrs. W,
Go on.
that we should kind of have 4 Ws to our theme tonight. So I wondered whether we
Can I just say, I think that's a wonderful idea.
We love alliteration. I'm not going to lie to you.
Because it begins with a W.
It does.
You know what I mean?
It does.
Yeah.
So
Great.
I wondered whether we could start with wisdom, and we could give maybe some kind of pearls of wisdom.
Go on. Okay, yeah.
Like, about our
How
marriage.
to survive marriage, maybe, yeah?
How to survive. How to thrive.
Marriage Survival 101.
Okay.
So we've got some pearls of wisdom. Okay, so you give me the first one. So what have you learnt? What would you tell your 23-year-old self before you got married to me?
Okay, so, well, we've got a few rules, haven't we?
Yeah.
And one of our rules is there's always time for a cutch.
Yeah.
Which sounds ridiculous, but it's actually really good, because when I'm having a temper tantrum, you will play that card on me, always time for a cutch, and we've always got to have a cutch. And it kind of works, even if it's an exasperated cutch, innit?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
what about
it's
you?
good. Yeah, so for me, I mean, yeah, not leaving the toilet seat up is a classic.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Pearl of wisdom.
Yeah, that is a classic. If I want to keep in your good books.
Yeah.
I mean, just having a laugh. I think laughing
Yeah.
is important, isn't it?
Definitely. Like, not taking ourselves too seriously. And we always find ourselves we hate washing up, and our dishwasher is broken. So we spend most of our times washing up, dancing around the kitchen, don't we? To like our favourite songs
Yeah.
to get us through.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, so you might ask Alexa to play Alicia Dixon, He Never Washes Up.
That's very
As like
true.
a kind of, a bit of a dig, but I'm all right with it. I'm all right with it. Yeah, when we change the bed, when we strip the bed, we do kind of striptease music.
Yeah. Da da da.
We're not stripping, we're stripping the bed sheets. But yeah, there I am with a pillowcase, kind of throwing it in the air.
Yeah, you are. And I think the last one is this, really, because this has kind of been, we had a sign made for this. Team Woolley always. I think, for us, this has been really important that we know that marriage is about being a team.
Yeah.
And for us, in the Bible, it talks about being a 3-stranded cord. And I think that means that, it's not just Davs and I, but we invite our God of love into the story to unite us at all times. I think, unity starts with a you, doesn't it? For a reason. And I think, we try and just remain united. We get it wrong a lot, but with God in the mix, it's...
Yeah, 100%. I mean, marriage is, it's a picture of God, isn't it? God being the triune God, Father, Son, Spirit. It's about community, and I think the covenant of marriage is to kind of represent that. Yeah. We represent it badly, but we try, don't we? Yeah. And I think friendship is huge. Being mates, I think, that's a big part of what marriage is, isn't it? It's the adventure of friendship, of journeying through life together. Yeah,
and I think, for people watching as well, maybe some of you today on Valentine's Day, you're not married, maybe you're single, but I think today, it's about the message of love. And I think for us, it's been recognizing that we get it so wrong. But there's a God who doesn't just love, he is the source of love, isn't he? And his love never quits. It never gives up. It doesn't have any contingency, plans. It just keeps loving. And I think, that's what I want us to celebrate today.
Cath, if ever there was a pearl of wisdom, I think you've smashed that one. And you have kind of mentioned a couple of times about how we get it wrong sometimes, which kind of neatly brings us on to the next W, doesn't it?
It does.
Wobbles.
Yep, love wobbles.
And we're not talking about my lockdown belly here
No,
either,
or
are we?
mine.
Yeah.
I reckon we should tell everybody, though, we've actually got names for our big bellies. So mine is Big Brenda, isn't it?
Yeah. Bit of a word play on Shirley Bassey, Hey Big Brenda,
Hey, Big
and we
Brenda.
follow her up by the trombone then, don't we? Yeah, although you're not trumping.
I'm definitely
Thankfully, you're
not.
not
No,
trumping.
no.
And then what's mine?
Yours is Michael Fatley.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks,
You
Kath.
enjoy your little dance and, you know, the belly and every... Anyway, it's not about that. So, love wobbles. I think it's about getting real, you know. The world kind of projects this image of love that it's meant to be perfect. It's meant to be airbrushed. It's meant to, you know, look a certain way. But it's hard. Loving somebody is hard.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, I think of, you know, I think the kind of one of the rules of always time for catch is a blessing, isn't it? Because it helps us to reconcile. But, you know, there are arguments in the Woolridge household.
Oh, there
And
are.
I remember one time, I can't even remember what we were fighting about now. It was so kind of such a little thing, wasn't it? But I was frustrated about something. And it was probably my fault anyway, Kath. But I just stormed out the house and I thought, I'll just clear my head. I'll go for a drive. But I just remember just not wanting to turn around. I just kept driving.
Oh, thanks,
not,
Dave.
Not because, not because I was leaving you or anything like that. No, I just didn't know where I was going. And I ended up driving over the Severn Bridge, across to Bristol, in my pyjamas, no petrol in the car. And when I come back, because I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to make it back to Pontypridd,
Yeah.
I didn't have any money for the bridge.
Oh, no good. No good. Well, I'm glad
But
you
we
got
made
back.
it up afterwards, didn't we?
We did. And, you know, I think, you know, yeah, love wobbles as humankind. We get it wrong. And there's some seasons in life where, you know, we do have wobbles. I think for me and my journey, I've got an anxiety disorder. I take medication every day for anxiety, and that has led to depression in certain seasons of my life. And I think in those times, it's been hard. You know, marriage was hard in those times, wasn't it? I remember a season when I found it really hard to even get out of bed. And I remember in one of those times, actually, you kind of literally kind of carrying me to the car in my pyjamas and saying, you just need to get out, and driving me to the Brecon Beacons. And I remember you pulled me out of the car and we overlooked this lake. And I remember you just standing behind me and you just saying, just breathe in and out, Kath. Just listen. Just listen. What is God saying? And in front of me, there was this vast expanse. And, you know, I didn't hear the audible voice of God, but I just kind of sensed these three words: wide open spaces. And I went to my Bible, and there's actually some scriptures that talk about the wide open spaces. And it says, you know, come into the wide open spaces of my mercy and my love. And I think so much of the time in our relationships, in love, we can feel hemmed in. We can feel that it's chaotic. But God's love, even in the wobbles, invites us into a wide open space that is so beautiful and is so full of peace. And there's actually a verse, and it's in Psalm 16, and it says, I know the Lord is always with me. I will not be shaken, for he is right beside me. You know, we may have wobbles in our stories of love, whether that's in marriage or in other relationships in our lives, but we've got a God who says that we won't be shaken to destruction.
I mean, yeah. And I remember that time, and yeah, I think that song is just a beautiful, just responsive worship to that truth, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I guess we come to the next W of the woolly W's.
So we've had wisdom, we've had wobbles. What's next?
Now it's, I'm going to do a bit of charades for you, Kath.
Wait. Love weights.
Weights, yeah. 3 years of drama school. Didn't go to
Well
waste,
done,
Kath.
well
Didn't go to
done,
waste.
doll.
I don't even have a watch. Mind that. You were there, though. I kind of captured you,
I
didn't I?
definitely was there.
You were there.
I definitely was.
But yeah, I mean, love waits, doesn't it? And I
Yeah.
think we're going to unpack this a little bit. But I mean, in our journey, you know, we know that what's really important is patience with one another.
Yeah.
And I think kind of something that Kev Adams, our spiritual kind of mentor, said to us when we got married was about, practicing that for ourselves and not saying, oh, the other person should be patient, but that we kind of take that orally. Do you remember he said that?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's been something that's helped us. But, I mean, I guess part of our journey is that we are waiting, isn't it? We're waiting.
Yeah.
We want a family.
Yeah. And
That's
I think
something we're waiting for.
it's hard. Waiting is hard. We're 35 and 36 years old and haven't been able to have children yet. And that can be really painful. Waiting can be painful.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to that inviting our God of love into the waiting. And I think what he does is he carries the burden. You know, there's two ways of spelling wait, isn't there? So there's wait, W-A-I-T, and there's wait, W-E-I-G-H-T.
Yeah.
And I think it's not allowing the waiting to become a wait.
That's good.
And the way in which we do that is by, you know, in those moments of pain, in those moments of waiting for a family, hopefully, that we believe God has promised us, that we don't allow that to be a weight, you know, a weight, a burden. And yeah, it's hard. And I think, you know, when I was little, Davs, I was always really scared of storms and the dark. So my worst case scenario was when I was kind of lying in bed and it was stormy outside and it was dark. And I remember I'd call out to Mum and Dad in the middle of those nights, and every time one of them would just come in and just jump into bed with me and give me a clutch, and everything would be okay. Like, the storm would still be raging, but the difference was Mum and Dad were with me, so the dark didn't scare me anymore, neither did the storm. And that's what I think it's been like in our wait, isn't it? Is that the storm can sometimes still feel like it's raging, but it's God with us that makes it all okay.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And I think that's it's a great analogy with the storm as well. And, you know, I think some people may know about my grief story. I lost my dad 8 years ago now. It was recently his anniversary, and it just reminds me that we live in a world that is broken, and we're kind of we're waiting for restoration, aren't we? You know, I can't wait to see Dad again and to celebrate with him. And I think there's that tension of in the brokenness now, it's kind of looking forward with hope, isn't it? That there is going to be restoration, that there is going to be fullness that comes back. And, you know, Corinthians 13 is just a classic scripture verse, isn't it? And it's one of those passages that kind of gets reeled off in weddings, and it's understandably why. It's beautifully poetic, isn't it? It's one of the best kind of, just pieces on love in literature, not just the Bible,
Yeah, it really
I
is.
think. And verse 4 says, love waits, love is patient. And we kind of take that orally, which is good, because we say, okay, we need to practice this kind of love. But I think what Paul's talking about Corinthians is something more than that, because it's in verse 11, he says this. I'm just going to get my Bible out, Kath, on my phone.
Very cool.
So verse 12 says this: for now we see only a reflection as in a mirror, then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And then he says, the greatest of faith, hope, and love is love. And when you kind of remember that 1 John chapter 4 says that God is love, it's remembering that we do love imperfectly, but he is perfect love.
Yeah, he is.
And we know in part now, but when Jesus comes to fully restore the brokenness, then we shall be fully known. And I think it's remembering the context that God is love.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're waiting for.
Yeah.
We're waiting for God being the perfect embodiment of love coming fully. And I think that's what we long for. That's what we wait for.
And so we're heading into our final W.
The final W. Yeah.
And this is love wins.
Wins, yeah.
Now, Davs and I, we are massive Welsh rugby fans.
Kath, I'm not going to lie.
Like, at the minute, we are beside ourselves.
Kath,
We've won 2 matches.
I'm a bag of nerves over you. I'm a bag of nerves over you, Kath.
It's crazy.
They leave it to the last minute. They're not in the last minute. They're dying seconds.
I know.
Clock's in the red.
It is. But we've won twice in a row. I mean, it's just incredible.
My nerves can't handle it, but
I
I'm
know.
happy. I'm happy.
But, right, there's actually a story where, this was a few years ago now,
Yeah.
and it was Wales playing Ireland in the opening match of the Six Nations. And Davs was actually away. He was preaching away this particular day. And so I was watching the match live in our living room. And it was one of those matches, kind of like yesterday's, where it was up and down, you know, kind of reminiscent of the valleys of Wales. The score was up and down.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it looked like Wales were going to lose. Ireland were 5 points up. And in the last minute, Wales scored. I mean, I needed an ECG. It was horrendous. Anyway, there was celebration. And then after the match, just after, I had a phone call, and it was this one, right? And the conversation went something like this. Well, it wasn't a conversation. It was basically all Davs. He was like, Cath, I don't want you to say a word, because if you speak, I'll know the result. So don't even breathe. What? I'm just ringing you to tell you I'll be back in about half an hour. Can you rewind the match right to the beginning and press pause, and then I'll come in, watch it like I'm watching it fresh. But I don't want to see your face, because I'll know. You can watch the match with me again, but please sit behind me.
Cath, I didn't want you to give the game away.
I know you
know what I
didn't.
mean? Pun intended.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And you came in, didn't you?
Yeah.
With a coat over your head,
Yeah.
so that you couldn't see my giveaway expression.
Couldn't see your face.
Anyway,
Yeah.
what happened next was he sat down on the sofa. I sat behind him like a good submissive wife, of course.
Shoot.
And he watched the match. Didn't you, babe? He watched the match.
Watch the match, Cath.
Half time, he asked me to go upstairs so he couldn't see my face, put a cup of tea outside the door. I mean, it was serious, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Anyway.
Yeah.
So that kind of final 5 minutes came, right? And I saw him go through pretty much the lows, like, oh, we've lost this. And I gotta be honest, I was there again. Like, I was so caught up in Wales probably losing because Ireland were 5 points up. I was there with Dai, like in the kind of we are doomed moment of it all. And then it was like I had this kind of like moment where like my head kind of had this bird's eye view, you know, and it was like, no, hang on, Cath. You've got a different perspective here because you know that in the last minute, Wales win. And I think that is a brilliant story where kind of, you know, God kind of used it as an illustration, didn't he, for both of us to show us that in life it feels like so often in love, in marriage, you know, in our singleness, it can feel so often like we're losing, and we can get so lost in that feeling that we forget that because of the story of the gospel that Jesus died and he rose again, that our ultimate destination is that love has won. You know, we win. It's a beautiful narrative that isn't just a narrative, it's true, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's spot on. And I think, love wins because love already won.
Yeah,
didn't he? And I think as we kind of referenced, you know, that God is love and that we see that Jesus came to reveal the Father to us, that we see that Jesus dying on the cross, you know, that the Easter story is God winning for us, isn't it? It's winning us back to himself for his glory, for his purposes. And it feels like sometimes we're at Friday, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, where Jesus died on the cross and the enemy probably thought that, you know, that he was victorious, that he won, and everyone was defeated. The disciples of Jesus were locked away in a room, just petrified, thinking, what on earth has just happened? Like, what do we do now? All these years they followed Jesus. He's died on the cross. He's in a tomb. And I think sometimes you're right. It can be like that rugby story where you forget the final result. But there's this great phrase that Tony Campolo used years ago now. He tells this story, doesn't he, that he's speaking in this gospel church, and he gives this amazing message, and he feels like, okay, this has really landed. And then another guy comes up, and he just says one sentence on repeat, and he absolutely smashes it, and he says, it's Friday, but Sunday's coming.
Amen.
And I love that. It's Friday, but Sunday's coming. And that's what we need to remember, because Sunday, I mean, of course, if you know the Easter story, Jesus rises, he resurrects, and that is a game changer. That changes everything. Doesn't it? And so we need to remember, even when it feels like Friday, Sunday's coming, because Jesus rose, and that's the game changer. And I want to share a poem on that, and it kind of just encapsulates that reality, really, that I'm full because the tomb was empty. And I'm just going to go to my performance spot, Cath. Okay, you head over, Cath. You head over. I'll seamless. Okay, so this is I'm full because it was empty. Wind back the clock by a century and times it by 20. You find yourself smack bang in the middle of a story filled with plenty of drama, good v evil, social upheaval, and Pilate's Paul for the people. One word, popularity. And for clarity, treason sealed with a kiss gives reason to believe that this story seeps bigger plot twists than that Sixth Sense film with Bruce Willis. Now, main character, this guy, who weren't just guy, this guy was God, fully perfect, fully God, protagonist of the greatest story ever told. See, this guy came to fulfill the promises of old, to fix up a relationship once broken, to be the fall guy, to become a sin payment token. See, I'm full because it was empty. I'm filled with life with plenty, and penalty paid, I'm free, but not just free, I'm full. I'm freely full and fully free, all cause it was empty. See? Adam and Eve, they didn't believe and obey. They went their own way, disobeyed. A perfect relationship with Maker frayed because it was empty. It's all changed. My path has been rerouted, remade, rearranged. See, this guy was God, bore mankind's weight of sin upon a tree, all to pay the penalty, lived and died on a cross, all to pay the total cost, all to pay for my mistakes, but I get life. Guess that's called grace. And because he was afflicted, my burden of sin has been lifted, because he said, it is finished. Then, taken by death, he had died, and just in case a spear rammed through his side. But a side note for you are not going to believe what happens next. Laid in a tomb, his body so scarred, a boulder blocks the entrance and centurions on guard. But 3 days later, death lost its hold, and this bit is gold. The grip of sin is over because the boulder had been bowled over. So now, forgiven, I'm freely full and fully free, all cause it was empty.
Well, we've come to the end of our program, and again, may I just say thanks to Cath and to Dai Woolridge, Mr. and Mrs. Woolridge, for having a guest takeover this week, and I hope that you've been as blessed as I have, as they've shared with us some comedy and also some pathos, sharing with us some very sort of personal things, and I hope that that's really resonated with you this evening, because the desire of our hearts, as I say every week, is that we want to make faith relatable to you wherever you are in your life. And I'm hoping that as you've listened to their stories this evening, listened to songs and spoken word, that something has spoken to you. And if it has, then please message us. Please get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to share life with you and share faith with you. So we've come to the end of our evening, and next week we're going to be having a Soul Week, and wait and see what that entails. But I want to end with just another blessing and pray for you in this coming week. So let me pray with you and for you. So, Lord, as we wait in perfect love, help us to draw close to you. Refresh our spirits. Inspire our hearts as we live in your promises. Help us to rest in your grace and bathe in your restoring kindness. Bind us to you and one another with your perfect love, which wins. May God bless you. Amen.